Welcome to New Business in Later Life, where we prove that it's never too late to pursue your entrepreneurial dreams. You will meet remarkable individuals who launch successful businesses over 50, sharing their stories, challenges, and enthusiasm. Your host, Ildiko, is a former social housing professional, textile designer, and teacher who described herself as a life artist. She is now a property professional, business network host, and facilitator of the Entrepenurs Club. Subscribe now to hear these inspiring stories every week.
Judith has been my networking friend for the longest. We met at one of the first networking events I ever attended back in September 2022. She had not long set up her own business, and just like me, she was attending these events to grow her network. Judith is a hard-working woman with never-dying ambitions. Exemplary in my eyes. I feel that her story will resonate with a lot of people, and I think it will be inspirational for many to be brave and realize their own ambitions no matter what. After living and working in Florida for a little while, having 3 children and getting a hospitality degree, followed by a few dead-end jobs, Judith became a business owner. She bought a café, which she loved running, and together with her husband, they invested in some rental properties. This was all hunky-dory until some years later, the marriage broke down. And unfortunately, a few things went with it. Determined that this will not ruin her life, she turned to a skill that she knew best. But before I spoil her story, let's hear it from Judith. So Judith, welcome.
Thank you.
What your the newest business is?
The newest business actually is utility warehouse.
Oh my word.
My main business is Plym, the letting agency, which I've been doing for maybe 2 or 3 years, and which I really enjoy, and it's gaining momentum now. It's it's really hard to start from the bottom, get a business going. So
before we go further into it, would you just reveal to us how old were you when you set up this letting agency business?
It's a little bit difficult to say because I had the business set up and then we had COVID, and I just drew right back and just let COVID wash over me, and then I sort of started again. So I think I must be a good 2 years in now. So so I was 50, that would make me 58 when I started, yeah.
Excellent, thank you very much. So would you like to tell us a little bit more about the lettings agency?
I run it as a sole trader, which I really do enjoy, but it's really hard work because I literally do everything. From emptying the bins to going out to doing viewings. I meet the landlord. I make up the tenancy agreements.
I'm a landlord, so my business is property. For me, to give time freedom, I would be the person who would come to you to do all the kind of work that you just explained. Have you got some kind of outlet where you could offload some of this work to someone else to help you out to run the business better or more efficiently?
When I get a lot busier, then I would do. I would employ a VA, virtual assistant, to get the paperwork sorted, and I do have actually a friend who used to be in lettings as well as an estate agent, and she has always said to me that when I do start to get busy, she'd be really happy to step in, give me a hand to do the inspections and things like that, which then would give me time to work on my business while they are working in it, which is a really big thing. That when I've had a business before, I worked in my business and I worked hard day in, day out, and I got nowhere. Now I'm a lot wiser and I know to work on it as well as in it.
Have you got yourself educated? Is that the difference between how you previously ran your business and now?
Yes, I mean, completely different type of business. Before I was a cafe owner, and I was the cook, so it was all day, every day.
A cafe, you could have applied the same principle on it, and you could have been working on the business and had staff employed in the cafe.
Yeah, it was a really difficult situation because I did have someone working with me, and I was training them up to do the cooking so that I could have stepped back. But personal life changed everything, and I had to sell that business. I didn't have to, but I did. Yeah, started to go through a divorce, and it was just all consuming. It wasn't something. It wasn't something I expected. So I wasn't concentrating on the business, so I managed to sell it quite quickly, which was quite good.
That's lucky or successful. So going back to your different approach to your letting business now, as you say, you putting a lot more effort into working on the business rather than just in it.
Yeah.
Where did this knowledge come from?
I started off networking, and I learnt a lot through networking. When I had the cafe, I worked in the business day in, day out. But when I started networking, I realised how much people would have to get to know me. So I really spent about a year networking and, of course, talking to different people, talking to a lot of business people, and you do gain a lot of information.
So how did networking come about for you? Because like I signed up to property training to be able to run a successful property development company. Within that is the mantra is there from day one, your network is your net worth.
I knew of Eventbrite and I just Googled it. There's a lot
simple as that, isn't it?
There's a lot of free networking events on Eventbrite. I'm sure there's other ones, but that's the one I sort of started on. It covers a wide variety of stuff. Yes, it does,
doesn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you've come a long way with networking. I mean, we met at networking.
Yes.
We met at the property and trade networking event. I very much recall the first occasion. It was
really?
Yes, I do. But you know why I recall it? It's because that was probably my second networking event. The first one was the general one, I think. Oh no, probably actually that might have been the very first one, the property and trade network, when I met you. It was September 2 years ago.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah, because that was completely new to me, but that was on the back of my training, encouraging me to go. So yeah. So you've come a long way on networking as well.
Well, I have, because as a landlady of 15 odd years, I had the background, but nobody knew me. So I had to do the networking. I had to get all that groundwork in. And you have to do a lot of networking to find out which ones work for you. But I just learnt as I went along, really.
Yeah, because I know obviously from talking to you before that you had a couple of properties that you managed yourself. But I was, it's not the accidental landlord kind, but kind of sort of like you were doing it while we would, probably some educated landlords would now call it old-fashioned way of doing it, where you just buy a property in your own name. You dabble along, you manage it yourself, and you do all the repairs.
You learned as you went along, I mean, you and I are both in property, but we do different things.
Very different,
I just literally do lettings.
Yeah.
But
and that's kind of what I just don't want to do. Yeah. So the networking started to excel your business. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I just networked for ages before I even got any business. And people were around me and they had started a business and they had business. They had people coming to them and they were actually working. And I wasn't even working as such. I was just networking and networking and networking. And it can be tiring. But now my business is off the ground and I am actually working properly now. And I just look back and I think that was all worth it. You can't, like they say, is it go fast, go alone, go slow, go with others, something like that.
Something along those lines.
Something like that. And so I'm sort of thinking I'm going slow and I'm happy to do that, but I am getting there.
I think it's more about like to be really successful than go with others. Because then there is collaboration, then helping each other, and indeed the networking. I mean, just like yourself, I started up my own networking event as well, and the connections that are coming through are invaluable. And
I always treated networking as work as well.
And it is work, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And social media, I'm not a big fan of Facebook, but I'm on Facebook a lot. I'm on a lot of landlord and letting agents pages, and you learn a lot from that as well. Yes. You learn a lot of what not to do, as well as what to do. Yeah.
Yes, I mean that is equally important, isn't it? I mean, there are people who have made a lot of money writing books about mistakes to help people to learn from others' mistakes, don't they?
Yeah.
So when was the big aha moment for you, having been a landlady with a couple of properties for many years, to actually think, okay, this is the business I want to do?
Feels such a long time ago. Yeah, I've always been interested. I always wanted more properties, but that was beyond me. So it was like, well, if I can't buy more properties, then I'll just go and look after other people's. I did look into mortgages because it's something I'm interested in as well. But the more I looked into it, the more I tended to go to just lettings.
When you say mortgages, you would like to become a mortgage broker?
Broker,
Ah,
yes. Okay. Yeah, I did look into it. And to be quite honest, perhaps I didn't look hard enough. I couldn't see a way into it. But since I've learnt that, the way in is literally to go and work in with a mortgage broker and get all your qualifications and all like that. Because I did
I work with them as an apprentice kind of thing.
Yes, yeah, which would have been fine. Lettings has always been there. Yeah.
Is there an age limit to apprenticeship?
I don't think so, no. It depends how many years life you've got left in you, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they would want to take me on as a 57-year-old apprentice. The money wouldn't be very good. Not at 57.
So on that note, why do you think that now is a good time to run a letting agency?
Well, lettings, the market is flooded with agents more than properties. Well, not more than, but as you well know, there's a lot of landlords that are selling up.
Yes.
But Plymouth is quite flooded with lettings. There's literally only a handful of estate agents that don't do lettings.
Okay.
Obviously, there's letting agents that just do lettings, but yeah, there's just a handful of estate agents that don't do lettings. So yeah,
so how does yours fit into it? So why do you think that running a lettings agency is a good business?
I think because I am a small independent, that's what I like to say, is that I'm a small independent business. So I have a landlord, he's got his own tradesman. All the tenant has to do is say to me, we've got a problem, and I get in touch with the landlord, and the landlord sends the tradesman in. He doesn't want to keep up with all the legislation, and he just, doesn't want to keep up with all the legislation. But just wants to have compliant properties. So if that was, say, a big national company, they may not be able to do that, or they may not want to be able to do that.
An established and large letting agent could still be local and independent, but some would think that they have all that infrastructure behind them. So how do you compete with that?
I answer the phone at 8 o'clock in the evening to landlords.
Blimey.
Well, that's my cut-off. That is my cut-off point, unless it's an emergency. Yeah, it's not 9 to 5. I don't have an office, so I work from home.
Is that actually what you offer, that it's not a 9 to 5 service?
No, I don't. But I do find that people do that. I don't turn around and say to them, I work till 8 in the evening. If they ring me, I will answer the phone, and it's just one of those things. It hasn't happened. Actually, no, it hasn't happened, but it is there. It is one of those things. Oh no, it has happened. I'm sorry. Yeah, I tell lies.
So what was the worst case scenario so far?
It was somebody who I didn't actually take on.
How on earth did they end up taking the liberty to call you? Was it like a really late out of hour call?
No, it wasn't really late. It was somebody who had never been a landlord before. They were moving out of their home so that they were able to rent it. I went down, viewed the property. It was a really nice little property. Be lovely for like a young family, small family. And he would just ring up sort of like 6, 7 o'clock of an evening, chat. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do that. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. He didn't actually want to do the different things that I asked him to do. And I said, for me to rent your property out, I would like this, and this done. I don't think that needs to be done.
Also, that's not even an I would like basis, is it? These are all compliancy things that you asked for?
It was more decoration. And I just said, it'd be nice if you'd done. I would take you on if you'd done. And he thought about it overnight. And the next day, just messaged, I don't think we'll get on. And I said, well, Well, and I said, if you don't do those things, I said, then no, we won't
No.
get on. And I will walk away. And I did, had to. You have to be able to work with people.
Oh, absolutely. What do you find the most difficult in running your letting agency?
Getting in touch with the tenants after they've reported a problem.
How weird.
I know, they report a problem and then you can't get hold of them.
To make an appointment to go and
make an
fix it.
appointment, and they're all of a sudden they're so very busy.
And what's the easiest part of running your letting agency?
When the landlord only needs to ring me up when they actually need something, they let me run their
Right, okay.
property. Yes, unless
Do you have any
there's-
landlords who kind of try and micromanage you?
No.
That's lucky.
Yes, and that is one of the reasons I think that although it really did hurt to walk away from this particular property, because I don't know why, I just really liked it, the house. It was lovely. It was in a nice little area and everything. It was a lovely little 2-bedroomed house. Yeah, and I think if I didn't get on with, if we didn't get on.
I think for you, the business relationship is more important than the house itself.
Yeah.
It's a bit like it's business, isn't it? It's not.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not for you to fall in love with the house, because I imagine there are plenty of tenants out there who are looking for places. So it almost doesn't matter where that house is if somebody's in need of a home.
That's it, of the size.
So
and
I suppose for you, it is considerably more important to have a good relationship, good working relationship with the landlord.
The ones I have at the moment seem they're quite happy. I think they don't ring me up, so I hope they're happy.
You were into your late 50s, not quite retirement age when you set this business up. Were you looking forward to retirement, or were you still very determined?
More determined. My mum actually lives with me as well.
Right,
so
okay.
my plans changed. My plans were that I was going to see what health I was in when I was 67, retirement age and things like that. But now I've added that up. Now I'm going to see her when I'm 70 now, because obviously I've got mum. It all came on. My personal life. All my children are growing up. I've got the freedom. I've still got the freedom, but I just get to sit with my mum every day and have a coffee at the end of the day. Which is
that
nice.
sounds lovely in itself, doesn't it?
Well, it does, because she was 1.5 hours drive away. It was really good for her to come and sort of like live with me in Plymouth. Doesn't interfere with the business at all. Starting a business a little bit later in life, I have acquaintances who are retiring early.
Yes.
They've moved abroad. They're doing up their own properties. They're holidaying. And I'm working, I feel like I'm working really hard. I enjoy working really hard, but and it did hurt for a little while. And I just thought, oh God, I'm just starting a business, and they've just moved abroad. They're living
Did you
it
have
up.
any kind of easier part of life in the past that kind of is just a bit back to front, or it just so happens that?
I suppose on and off. Of course, on and off, yeah.
And it's so hard not to compare ourselves to others. I mean, we've got friends like that who just a few years older, and they are really looking forward to retirement. And we've just started up 4 or 5 businesses between us with my husband, and it's kind of like, when are we going to do what we said we're going to do? Which is
that's
just
it.
take a seat back.
Yeah. I've always, especially my daughter, I've always said, you want to look back on life and say, I did that, rather than look back on life and say, I wish I did that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if, when I say to her, even if you try it and you fail, or you try it and you don't like it, you've tried it. That's part of life.
Absolutely.
So that is the philosophy I have going forward into my 60s.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I mean, as we established, I've known you for 2 years. You talking about it now, that it's now taking off, it's now established. I can see a very different glow in your eyes
Definitely.
talking about it.
Yeah.
So when do you feel most energized, most alive in your business?
When I'm actually dealing with the properties, when I'm actually sat down and getting paperwork together, doing a viewing. I enjoy meeting the prospective tenants, actually. I enjoy going out there and meeting people, showing them around. There's no particular part of it I'm even getting used to doing the callbacks now for landlords. You know, it's because it is a business. Landlords who say, yeah, I don't think I'm ready yet, and I say, okay, I'll give you a call in a month's time, and I quite enjoy doing the callbacks now.
Okay.
They're quite daunting when you first start, stumbling over your words and things like that. But I've gotten over that now.
Yeah, it all comes with practice, doesn't it?
It does. It certainly does. Or you do something all day, every day, you get better. You're bound to get better at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But going back a step, if I can just add it to the story, I used to be a housing officer, and showing people around and signing people up to their new tenancies is incredibly rewarding, isn't it? When people find a new home and they're just really excited about moving in.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to see like a property that was empty, to have a bit of furniture in and people living in it. Yeah, it is nice.
How would you like to grow your business?
I think because of my age, I will never have a really big business. I can't see it taking off and employing lots and lots of people or anything like that. And I'm happy with that. When I made my business plan, I did actually do my exit strategy as well. None of my children are interested. They've got their own jobs. They've got their own lives. None of them are interested in taking the business on, which is fine by me. So I do have my exit strategy. I don't want to say, oh, I'm just happy plodding along like I am. Obviously, I want to make it bigger and better. I don't have the ambitions of like carrying on for the next 20 years and, you know.
But by the sound of it, you know, with the progress you've made so far, it sounds like you have already built a sellable business. And if in the coming years you keep growing it, and you never know, you might change your mind.
Well, yeah, that's it. I've never thought that I'm going to have a business big enough that I'd be able to sit back and let other people run, which doesn't bother me.
But why not?
But why? Yeah, why not? I have to see when I'm 70. All depends on health, doesn't it?
Yeah, slightly, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like, oh, I'm too old for this? You don't?
No.
How come you don't?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's brilliant.
Why I'm laughing is because I look after my grandson one day a week, and it's after he's gone home that I look and I think, I'm too old for this. I'm not too old for the lettings. I'm too old to have a grandson running around one day a week.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Oh no, I get tired. I go to bed quite early. But then
you really need to keep those landlords in check so that they don't call you at 8 o'clock at night.
No, they are quite good, but that is just I just think that's one of those things of being a small agent. I take my phone with me, whereas a lot of people leave their phone at work, I would assume. If I do start to feel tired, then I cut back on the networking, basically.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, because that is still a big part of my life.
To me, that's also very much a social kind of time as well. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, it depends. I think it depends which one you're sort of at. I'm an ambassador for a networking meeting.
Yes.
That's not my social. Definitely not. That
Certainly
is definitely work.
What sort of new tricks do you need to learn to make it successful?
I think the main thing is just to really keep on top of it. The lettings have always been that you have to keep on top of it.
Top of
just to keep on top of the paperwork. There's a lot of reading. You have to have paper trails for everything.
Yeah. Is there a lot of legislation that ties your hand?
Yes, a lot. And we are all poised and ready for next year because it's all going to change. And it's going to change literally all of it is going to change literally overnight. So
what's your framework for keeping up with all the legislation? Do you have a strategy or a system?
I get a lot of emails telling me the latest, like Property Eye and Landlord Zone. They always let you know the latest of what's happening. Obviously, the deposit protection schemes that you're with, they keep you updated. So it's just a matter of keeping time aside just to keep reading. Really?
God, that sounds
boring.
I was going to say a little complicated, but yeah, probably boring is. But is it an enjoyable part in any way in your business?
I do enjoy reading about it because I do enjoy it. Being a landlord was my hobby because I had my main job, and I think I say a hobby. It was like the side job.
Yeah.
Like a lot of landlords, they still go out, they still work full time. They just keep it as a side job, and it's something I've always been interested in. So it just keeps me going.
So what's the most rewarding part of being self-employed?
Actually, going back to my grandson, I can look after him during the week. I take the day off to look after him. I do get like the odd phone call, which is fine because I can answer it. And I just make sure that I catch up on my emails Thursday evening or Friday. And so far this year it's worked.
Awesome.
And that is very rewarding. When I had my café many years ago, people would say, "Oh, it's really good to be self-employed," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is."
Yeah.
And there's bank holiday weekend, and I'd be working double shifts.
Yeah, it's kind of like you give up the 9 to 5 to work 24/7.
To have the lettings, I can be a little bit more flexible. I can do my shopping during the week. I don't have to do it, Saturday with a lot of people or Friday evening or something. I can. Many of time I've been shopping and had a landlord call and just have to answer it, and that's
just stop in the aisle and...
Well, you do, because other people do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you find that being self-employed has given you time freedom?
I work a lot harder than when I was employed, than being employed. I work a lot harder, but I work hard because I work hard for myself.
Yes.
And I enjoy that. And I think that's why people go with self-employed. A lot of people who are self-employed work a lot harder than if they were employed. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you can pat yourself on the back because you've done a good job in your own business.
It's a very different kind of inspiration, isn't it?
It is, yeah. We work harder, but my time is more flexible.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful reward in itself, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Do you have a personal routine?
Business-wise, I have a routine. Person-wise, no. No. That's something that the dog gets walked and I get my work done. But there's always dishes in the sink. There's always washing to be done.
Well, that's really quite nice that you get out with the dog because it does two things.
Oh.
One, you get your daily exercise of walking around, and two, you get a lot of fresh air.
Yeah.
And that's super important. Or do you find that you use a dog walk to
refresh?
Let you...
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Thinking time.
Yeah.
So how does that benefit you?
I do a lot of social media just to keep Plymlet's name out there. And I can be slumped in front of the laptop, being very non-productive. And then I just think, just walk the dog around the block, 8 minutes. Walk the dog. That's all it takes, just to go around the block. And you come back refreshed, better than having a cup of coffee. Come back refreshed, and then you just crack on with what you have to do.
Do you use little systems like you work for 90 minutes and then take the dog out?
I do, actually. I've got on my wall in my little office, I've got what I have to do and how long I need to do it for. And I set the Alexa as a timer. And then sometimes, in between, I might nip out, put some clothes out on the line and different things like that, which when you work from home, you can do. It doesn't always work that way, but when I take my break, then yeah.
Yeah, I know the feeling when the
yeah.
housework suddenly takes over. It's like, no, I need to get back to the office and do some work.
You really do need to sort of like think those dishes will just have to wait. Because if you were in work, in the office, I'm on my own, so a dishwasher isn't much good for me. So it's just me. So, but the dishes do pile up. But we're not here to talk about dishes.
No, we're not here to talk about dishes. We are here to talk about what are your greatest challenges.
Challenges.
The
government with their new rules and regulations coming out. Once they come out, and we know what's happening, then everything will be fine. But it's the build-up, isn't it? It's the build-up to it. Nobody knows what's going to happen. We've got the media talking about, the
fear-mongering.
They do. They scaremonger people. A lot of money goes into owning a property, and people are just I'm fed up with this. I'm going to sell up.
Yeah.
Or make it into a holiday accommodation.
And that you kind of
It
get
really-
sick of the situation, don't you? And it's all
it
just
really
speculation.
was.
Wait till the day, and then you know.
Yeah, people are speculating. People who like Property Mark. I'm not saying specifically Property Mark, but you know, people who are in that sort of area, and they say, "Oh, this is happening and that's happening." Well, we don't know yet.
Is it kind of the same with all the changes coming for landlords early next year, that people are just coming out with all these speculative ideas? Or
Well, we can read what's in the bill. We can read it and we can see what it is that they want to do. But I think we've got another 7 lots of House of Commons and all like that for it to go through yet. But they are rushing it through, and something will happen. Something will come in, but we just have to wait and see.
you kind of mentioned earlier that is it all just going to happen overnight? So how is everybody going to keep up with the overnight changes?
Well, that's
It's like
it.
with the stamp duty land tax that really threw a cat in amongst the pigeons. It's like people just don't know what to do. And we got stuck in the situation where we exchanged before and completing after. So we now need to get a tax advisor's letter to give to the solicitor, because obviously the solicitor doesn't want to not pay the increased one until they've got some official. And it's kind of like, oh, this is just extra cost, and to be completely on the safe side.
It seems to be the same thing. Whatever rules and regulations they're going to bring in on that one, the day it gets passed, they say they're going to bring it in as law the next day. So usually you get about 18 months, 2 years to change things over. Sometimes they've rolled things out throughout the country, like they did with Section 24, taking away the tax relief for the mortgages.
It being allowable expense. Yeah.
Allowable expense, yeah, that's it. I think they rolled it out over a certain amount of time, but so it's been said they're just going to pass it and then have it as law the next day. Yeah, and it's a lot of it.
Can you share a pivotal moment that really shaped your life into what you are today?
I suppose the most recent thing was I had a business, I had my café, and my husband and I split up, and that floored me for a good couple of years. And what was worse was the divorce actually dragged on for about 6 years. He's gone on to remarry. I'm living on my own. Things are fine. Both of us are happy with what we do. But yeah, I think that shaped the fact that I wanted to do lettings then.
And wanted to do something for yourself?
For myself, exactly, yeah. Yeah.
Did you feel that you had to prove something to yourself?
Yeah, I suppose so, actually. Yeah. Yeah, get out there and do it. I was put on this earth to shine.
Absolutely, you better believe it.
Yeah, we were, weren't we?
Absolutely. So can you share a big challenge that led you to set up your lettings business?
The challenge was going out there and networking and meeting people. I still have my cleaning job, which I've had for a few years now, and that gives me the income that I need to keep going. I don't think I would have been able to have kept going if I didn't have that cleaning job. I would have had to have given up the letting agency simply because I literally started from dot, as in nobody knew me because I didn't have a letting agency background or anything, and I didn't know. No, I was literally a landlord, and it was an interest. I turned my interest into a business. That was the start of it, was the networking. I keep going back to networking. It is really a big thing to do. And I'd always thought I was a confident person. Yeah, I can go anywhere, do anything I like. But when you walk in to a room full of 100 odd people, and you don't know one of them.
A lot of people find that very scary.
Yeah.
To me, that's a puzzle. Why? Because put me in front of 1,000 people and I'm fine. But I recognise that obviously through networking as well, that there are a lot of people, especially now that I run my own, people come in and I can see that they are nervous, and just ask them if they were okay and say, oh, this is my first time. So I give them a little welcome and give them a couple of tips of what to do. And then it is so beautiful when they come back at the end to say, oh, this was fantastic and really enjoyed it. So do you get that?
Yes, when people are new and they've first attended the networking meeting that I do ask them, I say to them, is there any business in particular, anyone in particular you'd like to meet? And then I do take them up and introduce them, and just leave them to chat then. They usually chat quite well. But yes, I think you can tell people when it's their first time, when they walk in. You just look around and think, oh my God, all these people. Oh, I can walk in now and I can, especially, I see you networking a lot, wave, when you wave to someone across the room or something like that, it makes you feel at ease. It really does. Yeah, it makes you feel. And if there's coffee there, I always go up, get a cup of coffee first, and you always say hello to someone there.
Yeah, there would always be somebody else.
Especially if you walk up and you pick up a cup and say, well, where's the coffee? There's your opener, Yeah. So, yeah. And I think that was my big obstacle, was literally the very, very start.
We all have to start somewhere and take that first step. And how amazing that you've done that. And you've got that ambition to have done that. So, yeah, that's definitely something I would pass on to the listeners, that it doesn't matter what your background is, what you're doing. You just mentioned you've had a cleaning job for a while, but you had this little niggle in you that you wanted to set up a letting business because you had a hobby that you wanted to make into a job. And that is really admirable. And I assume you join me in literally just recommending that if you've got the ambition, just go and do it.
I wish I had done it years ago.
Oh.
Yeah. But there's always a time and a place, isn't there?
Yeah, we kind of have to deserve everything that comes our way, in a way. We have to have enough experience, so everything has to be right for everything. And I don't know about you, but I do meditate every morning, and repeatedly it comes up in the practices that just be happy with where you are. You are exactly where you need to be.
Yeah. Everyone's journey takes them on a path, and we are all at different paces.
So what advice would you give to someone who would think about setting up a lettings agency?
Don't hang back. I think most people who go self-employed would say, don't hang back, just get out there and do it. You learn if you know your trade, you learn along the way of the networking bit and meeting people. Yeah, just do it.
Is there still anything in your business where you feel that there is a gap, that you would need to get any support or any further training to make it better?
Landlord associations do training of different things. You can go on day courses and find out a lot. There are landlord associations that you can ring up and you get support there and then. So I'm never on my own. When you have a partner, you bounce ideas off each other. That can be a little bit lonely if you're on your own. But if I think, oh, I'm not too sure about that, there are associations that I am a member of, and you ring them up and they're there for you.
You've got that support background.
Got that support, yeah, definitely.
You say it's lonely, and especially, well, you just mentioned if you don't have a partner, then it's even lonelier. It can become a really lonely kind of place to work, hence networking and stuff. But have you ever thought about finding an accountability partner?
I did have an accountability partner, oh gosh, a while ago. Unfortunately, it did just fizzle out, actually. But I think when you see a list of chores and jobs that you have to do that's set in front of you, that tends to get you going.
Funny enough, I'm in a similar situation. My accountability partner ended up having an operation. Tried to keep up, but then it kind of fizzled away. But then, got so busy with other things. But I kind of missed that focus a little bit. So talking about challenges in setting up a new business in later life, have you had any issues with the technology gap?
Yes, every day.
What are your biggest issues?
Just using a laptop.
Okay.
I'm very set in my ways, And if the laptop updates, it takes a while to get used to it. Yeah, what might take somebody 10 minutes to do would perhaps take me half an hour to do, simply because I have to sort of go around the houses to find out. I've written a lot of things down. It's like using Canva. You have to use it quite a bit to get to know it. And I enjoy using it now, but it's just the regularity. Everything I use is very simplified anyway. If I get really, really stuck, I'll just ring up one of my children.
How old are your children?
Oh, gosh, 33, 32 and 29.
Okay.
So they're all that much older.
Yeah, young adults kind of thing. But are they computer literate to that level?
One of them is. He's got a couple of degrees in something to do with computers. So, yes.
How do you find managing social media?
I always think I like leading a quiet life. I like it. But I do think for social media, I lead a very boring life.
What's the demographic of your landlords, or how do you find your landlords? Would they actually find you on social media?
Well, basically LinkedIn and Facebook, mainly Facebook, I think. I've done a bit of advertising in some magazines and things, but I think that's quite a good medium, actually, Facebook, for me, because my landlords tend to be, I wouldn't say old, but they're older rather than younger. They're sort of like 40s and up, and I think that is the age group now that uses Facebook.
Yes, absolutely. It's like I was talking to a 21-year-old and he was like, you still use Facebook? I said, I've never had a Facebook account. It's just so old-fashioned for the young generation.
It is.
Like, okay, and here I am at 50 and I'm being told that I need to use my Facebook profile as a business page kind of thing. Okay, but then again, if our audience is there, then we need to appeal to them, don't we?
Well, that's it. Yeah. Like I said, lots of landlords still work full time. So I do use LinkedIn, but if they're not a business person, then they wouldn't use LinkedIn. No.
Then it's Facebook, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Does the job have any physical demands on you?
No, not at all. Not really. Stairs.
But again, that just goes into your exercise routine then, doesn't
that's
it?
it. Yeah.
Has the business stabilised enough now to give you financial stability?
Not at the moment. The money that I actually spent put into the business, some advertising and insurances and things like that, I want to get all of that back before I give up the cleaning job. I want to have all that. Yeah. And I want money behind the business before I give up the cleaning job.
That leads into like what you started with, that you've actually started up another new business since the letting agency, which I would imagine will be kind of part of replacing the cleaning job.
That's more for my retirement. I'm thinking of my retirement. That one gives you what they call a residual income.
Yes.
So that I'm hoping will take me through to retirement.
But it fits in really nicely with your letting agency, doesn't it?
It does.
Are you able to persuade landlords to change over to UW?
I haven't yet, but I will do the tenants first.
It's actually not the landlords, it's the tenants, isn't it?
I would go to the landlords and say, this is what I do. Do you want to talk about it further? And I also, would go to the tenant as well.
To benefit from the entire package, then it's got to be the subscriber, isn't it?
Yes.
So what are your passionate goals about this business?
The goal is to keep taking on landlords and make sure that the tenants are happy in their home. And we all want tenants to stay for as long as possible because it's less hassle then. The more turnover you have, the more decorating you have, the more money you've got to pay out and time with referencing and getting people in. I tend to have like the smaller landlords with the smaller portfolios. Not that I would turn down a landlord if he had a lot of properties to let, but that's just to keep going, really.
That just leads me on to my quickfire round.
Right.
So I just ask you a few little questions that I ask everybody. Do you have any regrets for not setting up this business earlier?
Yeah.
Although I think we've touched up on this. Yeah.
Yeah.
When do you think it would have been a better time?
Literally to have done it when I first set it up, regardless of what was happening around me with
like
everyone
pre-COVID.
goes on about COVID, but yeah, I just sat back and I just wish I had.
It was the fear didn't get the
Yeah,
better
it was
of
an easy.
you.
It was an easy way out. Oh, COVID's come. Oh, I better not start a new business then. Oh, I've got a cold. I better not start a new business now. Yeah, it's easy, isn't it, to say that?
Would you actually consider setting up another business?
I think it depends what it is.
We kind of have, because UW has come along recently.
It has, yeah, I suppose so, yeah. That's my part-time, my sideline.
Do you read any books or listen to any books or any podcasts that have helped you?
A lady called Jackie Tomes.
Yes.
She does a podcast. I find her and her husband life, they've just made it. They've just done really well. And I've enjoyed listening to what she's had to say. I think everybody likes Rob Moore. Yeah. Who's very outspoken. So I've listened to some of his. But a book that springs to mind, Mary Portas. She wrote I can't remember it now. But she wrote.
What's it about?
She just says the difference between men and women in business over the years. Yeah, it is a good book. Yeah.
Would you be able to recommend somebody, or is there somebody you would like me to interview for this podcast?
Somebody springs to mind. It's a chap called Mark Tapper.
Okay.
He does security, does the cameras on like building sites and things like that. It's been going for a year now. I don't know his age, actually. I don't know his age. He's a mature gentleman.
I would say,
but
let's be careful here, but is
yes,
he over 50?
Do you know, I reckon he's only just touching 50, you know. Yeah.
Okay, well, we can get in touch with him,
Yeah.
and see.
He actually put on LinkedIn the other day when he'd been going for a year. I've been going for a year and I wish I'd done it earlier. Yeah, but then it's got to be the time.
Judith, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for
and
inviting
for your
me.
Insights into being a lettings agent, and of course all of the social media tags and where we can find you. Plymouth will be in the show notes. And thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's been really good. Thank you.
A big thank you to Judith for her inspiring story. I hope her journey has shown you that it's never too late to build new and multiple streams of income. Here on New Business in Later Life, we are passionate about showcasing stories that prove age is just a number when it comes to entrepreneurship. If you've been thinking about starting a new business, let Judith's example move you to take that first step. Trust in your abilities and the wisdom that you've gained over the years. For those interested in Judith's lettings or utility services, please check the show notes for her contact details.